All right, welcome everyone to the Board of Trustees meeting for May 13th, 2015. This week is Police Memorial Week, so we're going to take a moment of silence to dedicate all those officers that gave their life in the line of duty. Specifically, John William Bechtel served for Delhi Township, and he gave his life in the line of duty on Wednesday, October 25th, 1978. So let's have a moment of silence for him and then the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First, we'll start off for motions for consideration. Mr. Luby.
Motion 2015-073, approve the minutes of the regular Board of Trustee meeting held on April 29th, 2015, and dispense with the reading.
I move motion 2015-073 to approve the minutes of April 29th.
I second the motion. All those in favor?
Yes.
Yes. Motion passes.
Motion 2015-074, approve bills for payment.
I move motion 2015-074, approving bills for payment.
I second the motion. All those in favor?
Yes.
Yes. Motion passes.
Motion 2015-075, approve the payment of overtime for pay period ending April 28th, 2015.
I move motion 2015-075 to approve the payment of overtime ending April 28th.
I second the motion. All those in favor?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Motion 2015-076, accept the voluntary resignation of Richard E. Witzkin, part-time firefighter EMT, effective May 15th, 2015.
I move motion 2015-076 to accept the voluntary resignation of Richard E. Witzkin.
I second the motion. All those in favor?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Motion 2015-077, approve the hiring of Eric West as a seasonal summer program instructor 1 in the Parks and Recreation Department at $8.25 per hour, effective May 14th, 2015.
I move motion 2015-077 to approve the hiring of Eric West as noted.
I second the motion. All those in favor?
Yes.
Yes. Motion passes. Next, we do have a presentation tonight for the swearing in of our new chief, Doug Campbell. So if you want to meet me at the podium. There you go. All right, raise your right hand. I, Douglas S. Campbell,
I, Douglas S. Campbell,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I am duly qualified
that I am duly qualified,
to carry out the duties of Fire Chief for Delhi Township.
that I am duly qualified to carry out the duties of Fire Chief for Delhi Township.
I will do to the best of my ability
I will do to the best of my ability,
discharge the duties thereof
discharge the duties thereof
with respect and dignity at all times.
with respect and dignity at all times.
I will be ever vigilant
I will be ever vigilant
with regard to the safety of our firefighters
with regard to the safety of our firefighters
and will serve the citizens of Delhi Township
and will serve the citizens of Delhi Township
with compassion and courage.
with compassion and courage.
I pledge to promote and protect
I pledge to promote and protect
the best interests of the township
the best interest of the township
through fiscal responsibility, honesty, integrity, and loyalty,
through fiscal responsibility, honesty, integrity, and loyalty,
and will uphold the laws and constitutions
and will uphold the laws and constitutions
of the United States of America,
of the United States of America,
the state of Ohio,
the state of Ohio,
and Delhi Township.
and Delhi Township.
Further, I accept this self-imposed and self-enforced obligation
Further, I accept this self-imposed and self-enforced obligation
as my responsibility and make these promises
as my responsibility and make these promises
solemnly, freely, and upon my honor, so help me God.
solemnly, freely, and upon my honor, so help me God.
Congratulations. I want to present you with a fire chief helmet. Congratulations on that. You want to come on down? Congratulations.
Coming over this way. little naked.
All right, next we'll do the pinning. You want to come on up?
Doug, would you like to introduce your wife and daughter?
First things first. They're holding sharp. This is my lovely wife, Alicia, and my daughter, Rachel. And my lovely eldest son, Ian, and my younger son, Ethan. They're holding the flowers. He looks so cute. I tell them, I give them all a hard time about, public speaking and things like that. And
Can you pull the mic closer so we can all hear you?
No, I will. I just look over. I just saw him. He's shaking his head. No. This is my job. I got this. Yeah, one of the hardest things to do is, I was thinking about this. You have to say something. It's an obligation. But it truly is. It's hard to come up here and self-promote, to talk about yourself. I know that's some things that people want to hear, but my comfort level is really, it's not there. It seems self-serving, and that's not really who I am. So I will do the best I can, but you will see, this isn't a lot about me. Hopefully the occupancy permit has been closed here. They're covering it up. My first duty as chief, I don't want to send these people home. I've paid most of them to be here, so it's all good for me. Without a doubt, my family, meet my other family. That's the best way I can put it. I'm not going to lose it here, I promise, because I've already gone through that, and I don't need Denny Baker up here with his puppet and stuff like that. So, without a doubt, I owe them a great deal of credit. They keep me grounded, and without their support and the support from the community, I wouldn't be here without their help. I can't express the sacrifices that they've all made in order for me to achieve this opportunity. It truly is an opportunity. I don't want to take anything away from the Seahawks, but that is my 12th man right here. When I was asked by the press the other day, describe my thoughts on what I thought about the promotion, the only thing I could think of was it was a humbling opportunity. Although I was excited about the opportunity to do the job, and I never really questioned my ability to do the job. This is what I've been training for my entire life. It was more of a confirmation that I needed to appreciate every moment and really be humble in the position. And anybody knows me, I'm very well grounded. It's very easy. It started early in my profession when, as a lieutenant here in our organization, not only did the firefighters, but even my wife teamed up against me and decided that I didn't know how to load the dishwasher at home or at the firehouse. So, see, she's saying it's the truth. So, those kind of things keep you grounded. After the announcement of chief, I tried the old, anchorman routine. I think I threw it out as I was walking out the door, and I said, I am a big deal. And pretty much all I heard was laughing as I carried the garbage all the way out to the curb. So being grounded, being humble with this position, I understand the great deal of responsibility that it carries. It's something that I will always cherish. I remember, like it was yesterday, sitting in paramedic school, 1995, Jay Boskin just kind of comes over and he says, hey, I work for Delhi Township. He said, we're looking to hire some paramedics and stuff. When you get out of class, you ought to think about putting in an application. To which I responded, where's Delhi? It's the same thing. I think it's a common notion. You can't get there from here. God bless them. My family had struggles getting here. Not my immediate family, but it's hard. Delhi's kind of cut off, and Delhi is modest. That's the thing I appreciate the most about this community. But it doesn't need to be modest. It's got great potential, great things. I came to this organization 17 years ago. I was sold on the potential of the fire department. It's already surpassed that, and that's something that I will always cherish, realizing, how much it's grown. Today, I have the honor of being just the 6th chief in this organization. So in 80 years, that says a lot for retention and what's been done. I can't say enough about that opportunity. I also can't proceed without acknowledging the hard work and the leadership that shaped this fire department into what it is today. Certainly a great deal of credit to all the retired members that have taken the time to come out here, and certainly it's great to see them, still kicking. They're out here throwing their elbow grease into things. Yeah, it's really good. I have to say that because he's gunning for my position. He's already told me. I feel the heat on the back of my head. No, but it's one of those things where this fire department started by the community. It was operated by the community, and now it's supported by the community. So very good things, and it's something that I will always kind of hold dear. The key to my acceptance through the ranks, it starts with my sincere appreciation for the job that our firefighters and paramedics do every day. It's a difficult job. It's the stress many of them experience going home in the morning, tired, maybe get a little snippy with the kids and frustrated, and the balancing the personal life and the professional life. Hey, I've been there, and I can appreciate the hard work that they do. You see dark times, you see the worst in people, but you also see the best in people. And I guess going back and forth, that's why we stick with this job. It's an opportunity to help, and that's one thing that they can always rest assured is my sincere appreciation for everything that they do. From the ground up, it is the firefighters and the paramedics and our line officers that make this a fabulous department and everything that it will be for years to come. So I have a good job ahead of me, but this game is all mental, and I think Yogi said it best, when he talked about baseball, but I'll apply it to the fire service. It's 90% mental. The other half is physical. Nobody laughed. Man, it killed Yogi Berra. Sorry. Each of the chiefs before me played a role in the development of our organization, and it could be said that each represented what the department needed at the time. Chief Zoes played a significant role in marketing the fire department and the community over the last 7 years. He recognized the strong ties to the community and the things that we could build on those relationships for financial and emotional support. He really kind of carried that through. My calling is a little bit more abstract, and this is the kind of thing that you will see from me in years to come. And the reason I say it's abstract is I'm taking the helm of an organization that has a solid foundation. It is in place. And that's a fortunate thing. Most people don't have the luxury of coming to some place and already saying it's well established. I'm not here to turn things on their head. Instead, my focus will be focusing on closing the talent gaps that I recognize in the organization, and focus on professional development and really enhance that in our people. I want to make sure that we're preparing all of them to be great leaders. That's what we need. That's what we deserve. That's what we have for years to come. Promotions in our organization will be less about being a boss and more about expanding our opportunities and advocacy, all the things that we kind of cherish in a leadership role. So here we go. I have 3 things that you can mark my term for. First, we're going to take the lead in focusing on what's around the corner. We're going to always be looking ahead to what's the next thing that the fire department and the fire service has to offer. It will be here in Delhi. We will embrace diversity within our networks. I don't just mean biological. I mean everybody that we share inside and outside of Delhi, our collaboration, even if it's the east side. We'll make it work. The idea is we'll hold these things and cherish these things, because if we're all thinking in the same group think, we're not functioning at 100%. So what I'll be looking at is to incorporate diverse thought, diverse people that don't necessarily agree with you, who you can build a consensus on. That is the leadership we're finally moving towards. And then finally, I will make sure that this institution isn't afraid to abandon the past. We're going to have the courage to abandon the past when we need to. And by saying that, I could spend the next 20 years sitting in that office, letting decisions float down the hall, never make any challenging, just kind of muddle through challenges and things like that, and be comfortable with what works, what's necessary. Avoid the tough decisions. But anyone would tell you that leadership is about taking risks. And anybody that knows me, I've never put that off. I think I cherish the challenge. Dealing with people every day And sometimes it's not always about making the popular decisions. But what I found is you can always live by one standard, doing what's right. And that's what we'll do. We will do what's right. So please accept my sincere appreciation for your support. And I wanted to thank each one of you for the opportunity that you've given me. So without further ado, if we would be so excused, I'm sure Alicia wants to go in through the kitchen cabinets and see if any of her Tupperware's there that I left. So,
Trustee Seavey.
Doug, we are so proud of you, and we are so pleased that you are from within the family, so to speak. I get accused a lot of having, quote, the soft spot for the fire department. But,
It's okay.
you know, when you're the granddaughter of a fire family, you kind of hold that soft spot. And when you look around here and you see these guys standing here, both present firefighters and past, you know that your heritage as well as your future is based on these strong individuals circling you now. So congratulations. We are so proud of you.
Thank you.
We are truly excited to have you, and I think over the last 5 months as interim, you certainly proved that you can handle this job. There was a lot thrown at you that we knew was coming, and other things that we didn't know was coming, and you handled them all flying colors. So congratulations, and we're glad to have you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
And for all of those that want to go celebrate, you can be excused, and we will finish the rest of the meeting.
Mr. Sanker.
Okay, come on up.
Chief,
I already signed the oath. You can't take anything away from it. It's already here in stone. So whatever he says, don't.
Just 1 minute.
First of all, you introduced him as the new chief. I thought I was going to be the new chief, and he's going to be my assistant. No,
hey guys, attention for just a minute.
I just want to say that I thank all of you for making the right decision. Doug is a good guy. He's smart. He gets along with people. He's got common sense, and he'll watch the budget. And he's a good Christian and a good family man. And you can't ask for anything better than that. I had the privilege of hiring him part-time, and I hired him full-time. And it really makes me proud to come here tonight to see him be the chief of our department. I was able to work for 3 of the best chiefs in the world. Chief Rudy Kuzar, he was a wonderful man. He always was real close to me. And the guys used to always kid me, hey, your dad wants you. I never said the chief would. And Don Omer, he was like a brother to me. We went out together, we worked hard together, we stuck together. And then we hired Mike Edwards, and he was a good friend, and I learned a lot with him too. So I wished I could have been still young enough to work under, well, I would have been over him, but all the guys here, I hope you all work hard for him and stick together and do what's right. And thank yous again.
Thank you. And everyone go celebrate. Okay. One more, hang on.
I don't have a speech made. I'm Sharon Reynolds, and I do volunteer work at the fire department. And I want to congratulate Doug Campbell. He's a great person to know, a good friend, and he'll make an excellent chief.
Thank you.
Great, Sharon.
To all the firefighters here, they're all good friends. I consider them a friend. They're really good people.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think that's it. All right. Everyone have a good night. Enjoy. All right, we'll continue with the meeting. Next is trustee correspondence. Trustee Seavey.
Nothing this evening.
And nothing for me tonight, which leads us to the report of the fiscal officer.
The Financial Advisory Board will have their next meeting on Tuesday, May 19th, 2015 at 5:30 p.m. in the Township Administration Building. Also want to mention that in previous meetings, we've mentioned that we're exploring new banking relationship due to our current contract ending at the end of May. And based upon the proposals that we've received from PNC Bank and Huntington Bank, we are going to be banking with Huntington Bank. That's all I have.
There are no public hearings tonight. We do have one report from the department head, Mr. Landrum.
Yes, first, just an added last second report from Dan Ryan, our parks coordinator, and he wanted to report. I asked him how the cleanup day Delhi went, and so he provided that it was a huge success. The residents were lined up before 9 a.m. and kept the crew busy until after 1, and total of 8 30-yard roll-off dumpsters stuffed with materials ranging from hot tubs, mattresses, couches, pianos. I wanted to see a piano. Yeah, he's nodding his head. Pianos, televisions, and numerous other items, and that they could dispose of safely. Each dumpster weighed approximately about 10 tons when filled. So additionally, over 300 used tires were also collected to be recycled for further use. So that's a good success. So we thank the people for participating. The next thing I wanted to touch on was the kickoff that we just did on the 29th for our strategic redevelopment plan. Want to report that it was a huge success. This is a picture of our oversight committee. That was our first meeting on April 29th, and our 15-member oversight committee. I think we were missing one. One or two. Okay. And some other pictures at the lodge. This is where we had from 140. We tried to estimate 140, 150 showed up. That's the ones with the seats around the table. And then I missed the first 20 minutes of the meeting, just what was being said, because I was too busy bringing out chairs. I think Tom and I and who else was helping us? We kept bringing out stacks of chairs. We were like, holy cow, they keep coming in. So it was an absolute wonderful success, and we thank the public for participating. Oh, it was Josh. Sorry, Josh. Josh helped with the chairs. Don't want to give him give him some credit. But we want to thank the public. This was just a kickoff, and I told the groups there. But for those that were unable to come, you're going to have more opportunity. Here's more. This is when we were doing activities, actually drawing on the charts and doing guided activities. But coming up, we're going to have at least three more sessions. We had said June 9th, June 10th, and June 11th. We had said that first week of June or so to try to keep it open. And we're going to have some activities going on. We're getting a flyer together with Stan Tech that we can actually put out on Facebook and on our website. So this is kind of beating all that. But the 9th, 10th, and 11th, a lot of things and activities are going to be going on. Community presentation and workshop, 6 to 8 on that Tuesday, June 9th. June 10th, we're going to be working all day, the planning team, and then a trustees board of trustees that night at 6 p.m. There's going to be by Stan Tech giving a public presentation. And then on the Thursday, June 11th, we'll have a community presentation and an open house as well. So more information is coming. This is just brand new. So basically look at the 9th, 10th, and 11th, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. If you didn't participate in the big event, the kickoff, there's going to be further development of the plan and more feedback opportunities for the public to engage in it. So very exciting period of time. What amazed me is one thing. Is that I've heard it said before by some that, well, it's the same people, they attend everything. And if you look at the Board of Trustees meetings, a lot of times it is a lot of the same people. And that's fine, it's a small group. But one thing that amazed me that night when we had 140 people or more in there, Tom Stahlhaber, our Development Services Director, Zoning Director, he knows just about everybody. He does. Tom knows everybody. And Tom looked around and said, I don't know hardly any of these people. And that meant a lot. That means there's fresh people, not anything against the people that come, that we thank God for them, but people are engaging, people that never stepped up to say, hey, I'm interested. I want to go see what this is about. I want input. Brand new people that maybe for the first time in their lives, or for Delhi at least, are stepping up to the plate and saying, I want to have a say, or I want to participate, or I want to learn more. Whatever the case with their personal feelings are about it, that's a good thing. So I was very impressed, and Tom will be the first to tell you that, I don't know any of these. So we thank everybody for their participation. We had a whole bunch, you could tell when we went around, we got a whole bunch of people with different ideas, and it was good. I went table to table to table as they were working on it, and heard some fantastic ideas all around. So it was a very good night. I will say this, Stantec is a huge company. We addressed that, so very experienced, and they were floored and are floored by, they don't see this amount of participation in much, double, triple the size of communities as we did. So they were just floored. And we thank everybody, and please continue, mark your calendars. We'll be getting more out on Facebook. Everybody, I found out that night, I said, how many's on Facebook? And so many people, 90% of people raised their hands. So Facebook, our webpage, we'll be getting all the information out, and we thank you ahead of time for your support and for your comments and help in this manner. Thank you.
And for Facebook, just if you search Delhi Township Administration, you'll be able to find us just like that page, and then you'll get constant updates of what's going on with the township.
Yep.
Next, we have reading of the resolutions. Mr. Luby.
Resolution 2015-058, resolution approving purchase order obligations incurred on behalf of the township by the township administrator, authorizing payment of certain purchase order obligations and dispensing with the second reading.
I introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of this resolution. Any discussion on this resolution?
I move to dispense with the second reading.
I second the motion to dispense with the second reading. All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading?
Yes.
Yes. Mr. Luby, please call roll.
Mr. Oswald?
Yes.
Mrs. Seavey?
Yes.
Resolution passes.
Resolution 2015-059, resolution budgeting anticipated revenues, amending appropriations for expenses, authorizing transfers, and dispensing with the second reading.
I introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of the resolution. Any discussion on this resolution? Mr. Landrum.
Yes, this is basically, it's several different moves, but it's all for the same thing. It's $2,500 basically we are putting into the recycle grant that we have from the general fund. This is to help offset sheriff patrols for picking up litter and trash. In the past, it's been paid for by other entities that are no longer able to pay that, but after looking at it, we were not going to go with it, and then after looking at it, we discovered how many streets and roads that this is done on, and after getting a couple calls on, hey, there's a lot of trash out here, and realizing we figured it was money well spent for this recycle program. So basically what we did is move $2,500 from the general fund into the recycle grant fund, but by doing so we reduced another line item, Board of Elections line item, because our cost has been lower than we had anticipated. So basically budget-wise it's budget neutral as far as the $2,500.
Well, and last year obviously they didn't charge us. This year they told us they were charging us, but last year they picked up 6,600 pounds of litter. So even if we do a Delhi cleanup day, one day we're not going to be able to pick up that amount, and we would have to have multiple to keep up with all the litter.
And I think, Dan, what was it, 3 times a year was that? I forget how many times they said, 3 or every other month?
Every 6 weeks, I believe.
Every 6 weeks. So that goes pretty far for that.
I move to dispense with the second reading.
I second the motion to dispense with the second reading. All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading?
Yes.
Yes. Mr. Luby, please call roll.
Mr. Oswald?
Yes.
Mrs. Seavey?
Yes.
Resolution passes.
Resolution 2015-060, resolution authorizing the township administrator to execute license agreements with the county engineer in connection with the installation of welcome signs within the right-of-ways on Bender Road and Delhi Pike, and dispensing with the second reading.
I introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of this resolution. Any discussion on this resolution? Mr. Landrum.
This is the biggest hurdle, I really do believe, is getting the right location, and then getting in the location, getting it approved by the engineer's office for the right of way and the approval and the agreement. So this allows us, with the county engineer's blessing, so to speak, approval, that we can place this 2 signs in locations. I have a couple pictures. Please excuse the size and scale to this, but this is at the Spring House. We went there and took pictures, and underneath of this picture is the red mark that we spray painted. So I know it's pretty accurate in the location where our new sign will be. Again, the sign is not to scale. And again, what we're doing here tonight is the agreement with the engineer's office for placement, agreeing to where we can put the sign. This is not yet to purchase the signs yet, or to install the electric or anything like that. That's going to be another step. We're working on getting electrical quotes and things on costs as far as that goes. But this is a Spring House coming up Delhi Pike, going towards the business district. You pass the Spring House, it's the little pull off by the Spring House. This is right past that. Figured that is it's not on the property township line, so to speak, because that's way back, and that's personal residences, so that's not possible. But this is the closest spot that we can put a welcome to Delhi sign, so that we can distinguish that, hey, get some of that community pride. You are now in Delhi Township. And of course, home of Mount St. Joseph, as you see. And for any of that don't remember, a few years back, it's before my time, but the Mount did donate towards the sign project, to have, like their name put on it. So this would be just on 2 signs for that donation. The second location is down by, and I left the people in there. That was Rick, Catherine, and Tom. We were all out there trying to find the location, but that gives you the kind of the size. That helped me do a little bit proportion of the sign, how high it's going to be. We have to be a little further back because you have right-of-way issues and other things going on there. But this is in between Hillside and Bender coming down. And of course, on behind me, if I'm taking this picture right behind me, of course, I'm standing in Hillside. I'm standing on Hillside Road. But behind that's, of course, 50. Which is a part of the city, actually. So this is the closest, as far as if you want to say we have one west end and one east end on Welcome to Delhi, at least for our first 2 signs. Again, this is not exactly to scale, but I figured and again, this is just to put the location-wise and not the purchase of the sign. But if you speak of sign, this is the sign dimensions that we were looking at. So you are looking at, a significant size. This meets our zoning requirements. We had to make sure we had to follow our own rules, making sure that the sign fit our zoning requirements as well. But we'll have more information to you all shortly on the actual cost of sign, the electrical cost, the installation cost, and hopefully have a time frame of when these can be installed. And this is phase 1, remember, because phase 2 eventually, hopefully, we will plan on doing, it may not be this year, maybe next year, but doing the Delhi Business Corridor signs, smaller signs, but we have had some success because some of that is in private property, and we've already had good success on them initially agreeing to having Delhi Township Business Corridor welcome to signs on those at a much smaller scale, but the same basic design. So a lot of good things going on, but this again, this agreement just authorizes me to sign the agreement with the engineers, allowing us to put signs on those 2 locations. Any questions?
No. I move to dispense with the second reading.
I second the motion to dispense with the second reading. All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading?
Yes.
Yes. Mr. Luby, please call roll.
Mr. Oswald?
Yes.
Mrs. Seavey?
Yes.
Resolution passes.
Resolution 2015-061, resolution authorizing the Delhi Police Department to participate in the Hamilton County Heroin Coalition Task Force and the Chief of Police to execute an MOU with participants and dispensing with the second reading.
I introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of this resolution. Any discussion on this resolution?
I move to dispense with the second reading.
I second the motion to dispense with the second reading. All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading?
Yes.
Yes. Mr. Luby, please call roll.
Mr. Oswald?
Yes.
Mrs. Seavey?
Yes.
Resolution passes.
Resolution 2015-062, resolution authorizing agreement with Jumpstart Sports LLC for certain sports camps and programs within Delhi Park during summer 2015, authorizing the Parks and Recreation Director to execute the agreement and dispensing with the second reading.
I introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of this resolution. Any discussion on this resolution, Mr. Torbeck?
This is just to continue our successful relationship with Jumpstart Sports. They offer 4 programs: soccer, football, tennis, and an Olympic week. So this will be just a continuation of what we've done in the past.
How's the enrollment going for summer camp?
It's a little behind last year, but with a lot of programs, there's a lot of late sign-ups, so we're expecting a big turnout.
Okay, so should we do a commercial for summer camp?
Sure, we can do something on Facebook.
Okay. Parents and grandparents out there, enroll your children in summer camp at Delhi Park. That was my commercial.
Okay.
I move to dispense with the second reading.
I second the motion to dispense with the second reading. All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading?
Yes.
Yes. Mr. Luby, please call roll.
Mr. Oswald?
Yes.
Mrs. Seavey?
Yes.
Resolution passes.
Resolution 2015-063, resolution entering into lease agreement with Mount St. Joseph University for the use of 21 designated parking spaces at the Senior Center Community Center in connection with its nursing program, authorizing the Township Administrator to execute the lease agreement and dispensing with the second reading.
I introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of this resolution. Any discussion on this resolution, Mr. Torbeck?
Yes, Mount St. Joe University will have a new health program going on across the street. They were just worried the first year that they might need some overflow parking, so they worked with us to designate some spots just in case there is that need for overflow parking. So it's a 1-year agreement with additional 1 year, 6 years worth of 1-year agreements with a 2% increase each year if we decide to go that route.
And what's the revenue the park's generating from this?
$1,000 the first year and 2% each year that it's renewed.
I move to dispense with the second reading.
I second the motion to dispense with the second reading. All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading?
Yes.
Yes. Mr. Luby, please call roll.
Mr. Oswald?
Yes.
Mrs. Seavey?
Yes.
Resolution passes.
Resolution 2015-064, resolution declaring nuisance for excessive vegetation at 472 Coachman Court and dispensing with the second reading.
I introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of this resolution. Any discussion on this resolution, Mr. Roach?
Thank you, Trustee Oswald. We received a complaint of excessive vegetation at this vacant address. We issued order letters with no compliance. Upon our inspection this morning, the violation is still there. So we're requesting that your board declare this property a nuisance so we can address it with our nuisance procedures.
Vacant.
Vacant, sir, yes.
I move to dispense with the second reading.
I second the motion to dispense with the second reading. All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading?
Yes.
Yes. Mr. Luby, please call roll.
Mr. Oswald?
Yes.
Mrs. Seavey?
Yes.
Resolution passes.
Resolution 2015-065, resolution declaring nuisance for excessive vegetation at 4723 Shady Lawn Terrace and dispensing with the second reading.
I introduce and move the adoption of this resolution.
I second the adoption of this resolution. Any discussion on this resolution, Mr. Roach?
Thank you, Trustee Oswald. We received a complaint on this vacant property of excessive vegetation, issuing order letters with no compliance. When we inspected the property this morning, it's still in the same condition. So we're requesting that your board declare this property a nuisance so we can address this violation with our nuisance procedure.
I move to dispense with the second reading.
I second the motion to dispense with the second reading. All those in favor of the motion to dispense with the second reading?
Yes.
Yes. Mr. Luby, please call roll.
Mr. Oswald?
Yes.
Mrs. Seavey?
Yes.
Resolution passes. Next, we have citizen comments. We do have 2 pink sheets. Again, we request that you limit your comments to 5 minutes. The first one I have is Dave Swenson.
Thank you for giving me the time. You realize I can hardly walk anymore. I have something that has been bothering me for a while. It's a rapid run between Devil's Backbone and Stonebridge. I've driven that a number of times, and it's deteriorating very fast in the last year. And it's coming to a point where I feel there's some danger, a lot of danger in it. As you drive from here, crossing Rapid Run, I know it's a county road. And as you take that from Devil's Backbone and you go around, it's just snake curves. The berm is falling in on the right side. Sometimes it's as much as 4 inches down. If your tire catches in there driving around, it can flip you over into the next lane. And there is no berm on the other side and part of it because of the guardrails. There are 2 bridges and 3 culverts. Now, culverts have a roadway over them. Bridges, of course, go over a chasm of some sort. Now, the first culvert seems to be all right. Now, the first bridge was repaired probably in the late 1970s. Now, if you look at that bridge now and you look at each end, you can see the separation cracks already there between the road and the bridge. Now, when you get to the next area, which is the next bridge, that bridge was built in 1930. And you can see that it's deteriorating bad on the right-hand side, the ridge of it, the top of it. And if that's all concrete and it's deteriorating up there, it's going to deteriorate underneath. Then you get to the next area, and that's where the creek goes underneath. There's a culvert there. And I've watched that through the last year. I drive that quite often. And the berm was underneath the guardrail about 3 feet. That berm is gone, and it's almost a half a foot on this side of the guardrail. And it's deteriorating very quickly, and you can look in the street and you can see there's a slight crack beginning, and one day under a heavy rainstorm or something, that whole thing might slide into the creek. Then you get to the next area, which doesn't seem quite that bad. That's the next culvert. So you have 3 culverts and 2 bridges. Now, I have a fetish over bridges, and one of the things is that you never know when that bridge is going to let go. And we have a lot of heavy vehicles go over that. We have our fire trucks going over it, and we have vehicles pulling heavy equipment. And then we have the school buses, and we have the tour buses. And there's a lot of traffic there because of the traffic that was rerouted because of the 2-year down of Cleves-Warsaw Bridge. And a lot of that traffic has not gone back over to Cleves-Warsaw. And it's fast traffic, and it's too fast. Some of the cars that are new come around and come over it just happened to me yesterday, come over the double yellow line right at me. And that road is narrow, and you don't have much room to maneuver. Now, I've watched the professional drivers, they stay within the lines. That's the bus drivers and so on. It's amazing how they're big vehicles and they don't have much room to play with. Now, one of the reasons that I feel this way about it, I grew up in a small town, Minnesota, and a neighbor named Glenn. And Glenn happened to be a truck driver. He had his own vehicles. And it was kind of interesting, it was the fire department here tonight. He was a volunteer fireman. He'd live on the same macadam road every morning to go out and pick up milk cans, and he'd have a truckload of empty milk cans, drop them off, and bring the farmer's milk into the creamery. And there was a small bridge on that macadam road. Nobody seemed to pay any attention to it. It takes a second to get over the bridge. Well, one morning his front wheels hit the bridge, and that let go, and the weight of the bridge let go all the way through, went down flat, and his truck hit the wall on the far side. He was killed instantly. And it's quite a tragedy for a small community to lose a man like him. And it's kind of interesting because no one really paid any attention to that bridge. And it could let go at any given time. Now, the second bridge I can give you stories on a half a dozen different bridges. I don't know why I happened to be there, whatever it is, but the second one was in the Korean War. I was up in what they call the Iron Triangle. I was a medic, and we had to go up and check on some guys. It was 5 days and 6 nights of solid rain. Everything was flooding. And their bunker was caving in, and the enemy was on all sides of them. And we got up in there, took a tent up, and then came back. And, of course, the road was already flooding bad. And as we came across the road, and the driver grew up in Chicago, and the doctor went with us because we were medics, and he was from Chicago. They had no idea what a flood was. And I said, look, the road is deteriorating there on the right, and you can see the water going down. The guy paid no attention. We went down in the dip, in the hole, and I was in water up here, up to my shoulders. And the Jeep bounced up out of there. I got up and I got it shifted, got it going, got out of there, then I took over driving. Here's a bridge that went over this river. Now, this was a wooden bridge made by the engineers, which they did a good job, but the water was up so high. Three of the four struts were washed out, and the bridge was already in the dip, probably 15-20% dip. One side is down, the other. We were on the enemy side of the river, so we had to make a decision. We couldn't go back because that was flooded. We had only one thing to go, and I'm driving. One of them said, we ought to vote on it. I said, go ahead, vote. Two guys said no. I didn't pay any attention. I got that bridge and I slapped that little Jeep. You could get 25 miles an hour on them on a flat. And just the momentum took us across that bridge. I kept driving and never looked back. One of them did. He said, the bridge is gone. And that's how fast a bridge goes. It's just a matter of seconds sometimes. And we were fortunate to do that. And I could have at least 4 more bridge stories, but I'm not going to do them.
Well, Mr. Swenson, you are correct that those are county roads, so
Right.
obviously the county has to repair those. And when you start talking about
They're
the
in Delhi.
bridges, correct, and we start dealing with ODOT, so there's more people involved than just our public works. But Mr. Rippinger's over here. I know he has frequent conversations with the county. Do you have any input on this?
I just know, I think it's state law that all the bridges have to be inspected yearly, and there's a report. I think they send it to the state, including our bridges. I can definitely relay that information or concerns to the county tomorrow.
What my suggestion is that they cut that speed limit in that area down to 25 miles an hour, and also to get restrictions to keep all the heavy trucks and stuff off of those bridges, because it's getting so much more traffic in there, it's deteriorating fast. I've watched it over the past year, how it's deteriorating. And something should be done. Now, a few years ago, I went down to the county commissioners about the Delhi Pike being widening. I got a lot of flack over it, but they widened it right after that. I did the same thing many years ago about Devil's Backbone. It was too narrow. And a lot of the Devil's Backbone people showed up. The next day, Don Schramm was working on that road and did it, and they widened it. So I know they listened. Now, my next stop will either be county commissioner's office or at the county commissioners meeting. But I want to tell it here, and I think someone from here should notify them to really look at that, because it's going to take 2 years to rebuild that, because that's a farm-to-market road that was an Indian trail, the least resistance, and that was how that started out, and it just started out being a trail on a road. And it's there, and it's heavily used. And I think we need to take a look at it before. It's not whether or not it's going to happen. It will.
Well, we thank you for
Thank you.
your comments,
Thank you.
and I'm sure Mr. Rippinger, you can get him information on those reports, just give him the information on the bridges, and I know you'll be in communication with the county with regard to those roads anyway.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Next, we have Ed Capel.
Nice to see you all again.
You too.
You keep having these meetings when my grandson's playing ball, so I don't get to these other meetings. I have basically 5 questions, or mostly yes or no answers, not big deal. Have you ever projected a total cost, including the Economic Development Department, for the CIC and the redevelopment program that goes forward 2, 3, 4, 5 years?
Do you want to take them one at a time?
No, if you did them any?
It's impossible to calculate because we don't know what will be acquired. We don't know what will go through the CIC. It's impossible to know those numbers. At this point, we have enough revenue to set it up. We have those meetings. We haven't put anything into the CIC yet. But to say, have we projected out 2 and 3, 4, 5 years of what it's going to cost to actually run the CIC, what's going to go through the CIC, we can't tell you because we don't know what we're going to acquire 4 years from now. We don't know if someone's going to donate land and we put it in the CIC. We don't know if it's going to acquire land. So at that point, I mean, is that fair to say, Pete? I mean, we wouldn't be able to answer if we wanted to today.
There's no cost to the CIC except for what it actually does. There's no employees. The board of the CIC does not get paid. So
You do have an economic development department.
Now that's by the township. That's the
But
township's
That's part of
economic.
the, okay, Pete.
That's the township pays for the economic development. The CIC is a different entity. It is not. The
It's a
Board of
separate
Trustees.
legal
It's a
entity that's a
between the
nonprofit.
two.
separate legal entity.
I got it. One of them little nitpicky details. Have you done any cost-benefit analysis on this whole project?
Are you talking the CIC or the Strategic Economic Development?
All the above.
Well, those are two separate questions. First, the CIC. A lot of other townships have already done that, and we were late to the board. We were late to the game to even get involved with that. And by having a CIC, it allows us to do a lot of things a township can't do because we're a government entity. So that's one aspect that we need, and we're lagging in that. And the CIC helps us with economic development. As far as the strategic development plan, we need to get that plan put in place. We need to change our zoning, and then we will see what developers are going to come up and fit our plan. Again, ideally, I'd like to tell you millions, but we don't know what developers are going to step up. But I can tell you, once we get that plan in place and we get our zoning in place, it's going to fit our vision of what we want to see in the community. It's not going to be someone move in, try something, 6 months, another vacancy.
In your thinking for redeveloping Delhi Pike, whether it's through CIC or the general fund or TIF, have you ever considered a return on investment of any kind?
You're complicating the question. Pete, you want to?
Ed, everything that the CIC itself will do, it's a case-by-case basis. As something comes up, as there's an opportunity for us to do X, Y, and Z, at that point in time, for whatever opportunity you have, that is when you do a return on investment. If we buy this land, what are we going to do for it? What's it going to cost us? What will we be able to sell it for? What investment is this for the township? What we're doing with Delhi Pike, that's a separate entity or separate plan. That plan, we don't have that data. We're in the middle of doing all the data collection. We just had interviews last week, intensive with real estate folks, with major stakeholders, gathering all the facts and data. And yes, Catherine, and what we're doing is part of that plan is actually looking at 3 specific sites that we'll be able to gather data on those sites so that developers will have the information that they need to say, oh, I am interested. Ooh, I can make money. Ooh, I can do that. Catherine, you want to add to that?
I'd also like to just reemphasize that when we did design the RFQ for the study, in our discussions with each of the groups that applied to serve as our consultant here, it was always under the assumption that they would produce some kind of plan that could be actionable. So we have 3 projects that we will design through this. We're going to run a cost-benefit analysis from the development side on each of those, but depending whatever goes into these vacancies, whatever that final cost and development is, we can estimate then the property values. We can figure out a return on investment to the township. But honestly, if we're even able to get one of those massive big box stores that are sitting vacant, redeveloped, that right there will provide enough tax revenue to offset what we've spent on the plan. And anything additional that is developed either on those sites or within the rest of the district will go into a TIF fund that we're setting up, and that will be able to spur development projects elsewhere in the township by spending on infrastructure like sidewalks, like access improvements, things like that will raise property values throughout.
Okay, so I wasn't going to do this, but I will anyway. You're basically telling me that you haven't looked out and said, in 5 years or 3 years, we may spend $1,400,000, but we expect to get back through TIF over the next 20 years, $3.4 million in increased valuation in the property that we've TIF'd.
I'll tell you, from my background as a loan officer, and I did finance real estate projects in addition to many commercial deals, but my background is finance. And what I will tell you about projections is that we like to see that you put thought into it, but we don't use it as black and white, this is exactly what will happen, because nobody knows the future. What we're doing right now as part of this study is that cost-benefit analysis. We're trying to get experts in that know a lot more about the real estate market than we do to go through what the current construction specs are, what it will cost to demolish and to redevelop properties, and what kind of tax revenue that we can get off of that will be computed throughout this process. We saw this first upfront investment as a long-term investment in those numbers. Otherwise, we'd have to commission a separate study in order to get the numbers to commission the study. If we end up doing things that way, we'll end up like the state of Ohio with political discord, leading to money, dollar after dollar after dollar spent on studies and nothing actually getting done.
Mr. Lander, did you want to add anything?
Well, I was just going to say, that's why we're doing the plan, because we know something needs done, and you have to plan first. If you plan to, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And so this is moving it forward, and in this, the CIC is a separate entity in itself. It's just an entity that is the avenue for the township, so when we see an opportunity, we can take action. Well, I promise you on this, before anything's done with the CIC, we're going to have what is the return, what's the plan for doing this, what's the return on investment, what's this. We're going to be doing all that for the CIC. For the township side, as Catherine has said, we are building that what is the cost benefit, and as projects come up and possibilities, we're going to be looking at that. We're doing a new TIF, we're doing in the process, we're doing, and with any of the major developments, we will be looking at joint economic development districts as well to help refund township services and refund capital improvement projects so that we can continue the capital improvements along the district so it doesn't end up being in the condition it is today.
I didn't want Pete eating up my 5 minutes.
Well, I'm not holding that against you.
Okay.
We're just trying to answer your question.
I know, but I'm from a business environment, and we would never start something like this unless we had a real solid idea of where we were going, how we were going to get there, and what the estimated cost was going to be, and what the return on that cost was.
Exactly, but this is a business plan.
That's fine.
This is the
I
business
understand.
plan.
This is
our
a
business
government.
plan for the
No,
township.
this is the business plan. You would put together a business plan so you can know what cost is, so you can know. This is all the research, the statistical gathering. This is all of that information so we can put that together so we can know what the future is going to be or look like.
Is the CIC included under the sunshine laws?
Yeah, we have open meetings, and we usually do them.
Where are the
They're here
meetings
before the
and
trustee
meetings
meetings.
Right here.
We post them, and they're open. They're usually about 5:30ish, 5:45 before the trustee meetings.
There's
And
only
the-
been 2 meetings, Ed.
No, I know. I was at the
Right.
one.
Okay. There's only
But-
been 2.
Yeah, they're-
Is it going to be under economic development on the website?
It'd just be
Or is it
posted
gonna
on the
be a
main
separate
page.
one?
It'd be right up front, right on the main page under one of the notices.
I mean, I've been looking and I didn't see it.
Well, yeah, there's only that.
We haven't
was-
done much with the CIC other than set it up and get the nonprofit status.
Yeah, in the last meeting,
Point officers.
I think the last meeting, all we did was accept the meeting minutes, and that was it. Because
It's another tool we have to assist us with economic development, that it sits there and we can use it when we want to, but it's not necessarily we have to. And we don't know when we're going to use it. So I think a lot of your questions at this point, as far as numbers and projections, are premature because we're in the process of developing that business plan. And I mean, if I asked you 10 years ago, tell me how much Over the Rhine was going to generate with all the economic development, you'd have no clue. And it's actually get done a lot better than I think a lot of people anticipated. But you couldn't answer that question 10 years ago.
Probably couldn't about a streetcar either. You know, have you thought about things like source and use of funds?
We've discussed all that. We've actually budgeted for this last year. We had it in our budget to do this. So this plan, we were talking about this 18 months ago.
You know, I saw last year's budget. What was it under?
This plan? No, it wasn't in last year's budget. We haven't even actually for this project. I haven't got my first invoice yet for
Okay, I just
No,
thought
for the
that-
Stantec.
for Stantec.
We
Yeah.
Right. But we knew we were estimating costs for the Stantec. We've been talking about this for 18 months.
Until we went out for the request for qualifications, and then selected the individual entity that was most qualified for it. And then from that most qualified, it's Ohio state law that we have to follow this process. Once we said, hey, Stantec was the most qualified, then we asked for their proposal on cost and things like that. So us being new, to the game, all we could know is look at other communities and what roughly costs in several types. But I will tell you this, what we're doing is groundbreaking. The way we're going about this and having actual tools that will be able to not just sit on the shelf, but will be implemented tools meant for implementation to give us going right off the bat. Stantec's very impressed with the manner in which we're progressing forward on that. So I think, could I put it in last year's budget? Well, I wouldn't need to. And this year we budgeted just about exactly right. It was a ballpark because I had no idea on what the cost was going to be.
So is it safe to say that funding for these operations will come from the general fund and probably from existing TIF for the redevelopment effort when you're dealing with developers? It
is general fund. And if there, a case-by-case basis, if there is, a project for infrastructure, yes, we would, hopefully it should meet TIF guidelines and use TIF for that. And or if there's a JED agreement with the business corporation or the whoever landowner and all that, it could be JED funds through, could also be utilized through the JED, a newly created JED district.
Thank you kindly.
You're
they
welcome.
play tomorrow night.
Thanks, Ed.
Thank you. Next, we have announcement of community events. Mr. Luby.
The car show Go Red for Women with Heart Disease will be Saturday, May 16th, 2015. It will be from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. at Remke Market, 6025 Delhi Pike. The Delhi Township Veterans Association Memorial Day Ceremony will be Sunday, May 24th, 2015 at 1 p.m. It will be at the Veterans Memorial Park on 934 Neeb Road. The Delhi Citizens Police Association Golf Outing will be Friday, May 29th, 2015 at 11:30 a.m. It will be held at the Aston Oaks Golf Course in North Bend, Ohio. In other announcements, we have another commercial for Josh. Enrollment is currently open for the Delhi Township Parks and Recreation summer programs, including a variety of camps and programs for children ages 4 through 12. The enrollment form and additional information can be found on the homepage of the Township's website. The registration deadline is May 29th, 2015. Please call the park office at 451-3300 to learn more.
There is need for executive session tonight. Mr. Luby, can we please have the motion?
Motion 2015-078 to retire to executive session to consider the employment of public employees.
I move motion 2015-078 to retire to executive session to consider the employment of public employees.
I second the motion to retire to executive session to consider the employment of public employees. Mr. Luby, please call roll.
Mr. Oswald?
Yes.
Mrs. Seavey?
Yes.
That concludes our regular scheduled meeting. Our next meeting will be held Wednesday, May 27th, 2015. Everyone have a great Memorial Day and have a good night.